gonna be 3-part video, and sorry about that, but I've a lot going on, and we're just getting now to be able to pickle up our peppers and can them. We're gonna do water bath canning today, and I want to share with you some tools that you'll need if you've never done it, or you just want to review, or you've never seen certain things. Just what you might want to consider before you get started. We will be doing the water bath canning, which is the easiest of the two. So you have water bath canning, and then you have pressure canning. Depends on what you're canning, which one and which way you're going to use, or which device you're going to use. Today we're going to do the water bath canning. I'm going to show 2 types of equipment that I have, and again, it just depends if you have one, if you can find one, what your budget would be. Even just a stock pot would probably work as well. You just want to have a rack or something on the bottom so that your jars are not touching the bottom. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is the first water bath canner that I purchased, and I got it from Walmart, I believe, and it was probably like $25. I looked it up, I believe it's $24 still there. So what I recommend is when you're searching for something, just put it in the Google, and it will list the different areas of the pricing and where you can get it. Okay, so this one I'll show you, which is not this one, but it's this regular can if you've ever seen one. That's the lid for this one. So this is like an enamelware, like camping, I guess. I'm not quite even sure how many quarts it takes or the volume of it. I'll look it up, and then I'll post that in the description of what this one covers. And what it does is so it's this pot, whole pot, and then it comes with a rack. And on this one, again, you don't want your jars touching the bottom, okay? So on this one, this little rack, and it comes with it. This comes with this. If you see, it kind of has here where it'll sit, right? And so when you're sticking your jars in here, do this one. It's wobbly, but it will keep them up and allow you to load up your canner. And when you're done with that, of course, this would be on your stove, okay? When you're done with that, then you would pick both of these up at the same time, and then you lower it down into your water. Okay, so this is something that will work if you're new to canning, or if you have one, or you can even use it in a dual purpose. You have this one going on your stove, and if you picked up something like this one, I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Either one will work, okay, depending on where you are and what your budget is and if you can find them. So this one again is just your basic enamel stock pot. It's very thin. You see that? It's really thin. I'm not even sure. You could probably like steam your tamales in it. I might make some broth in it, but I'm not quite sure that I would. Even if I made chili beans, I would make sure that I'm really paying attention to them because it's so thin, and if you've ever had that, I would feel they would burn on the bottom. But again, you could always use this as a dual purpose for other things that you have going on. So this is the easiest one. It's an enamel. Comes with the rack inside, and then it comes with your lid as well. Okay. And this one, I believe I got it for $25. Okay. So this one is the Ball Electric. You can steam vegetables in it. You can do all kinds of stuff in it. I haven't used it for that. I only use it for water bath canning at the moment. I do like this one because how I do it, I put my water in. So I wash up all my jars, they're good to go, and I'll stick my jars inside here in that warm water, depending on what I'm doing. And because the solution that we're going to be pickling with today is going to be warm, it's going to be hot, boiling, and then it'll simmer down, and you do not want to put hot liquid into cold water or in a cold jar, because you take a chance of breaking that or shocking that glass. So this is nice for me. I use it on the countertop. It has a little plug, so your electric cord, right, that comes with it. Again, you can steam vegetables in it, probably boil eggs in it, other things. So of course you have your lid, okay, and it's got 2 holes here. And then you have this little cover. So it's a cover rack is what I do is when I load up my jars, and then I'll turn this thing on to canning, and once I see it start to boil in, then we'll start our time on that. But this one kind of helps keep that in there, the heat. So again, it's got this little handle here. When you have it down in there, you need to pull it out. It'll come out of the device like that. All right. Now it also has a rack, okay, just your thin rack so that your jars do not sit on the bottom. Regardless of which one you have, you want to make sure that your jars do not sit on the bottom. And then this is what this one looks like. It's FreshTech, and it has all these little different deals. This one here is for the canning. So when I have everything filled up, ready to roll, I'll already have it up in here, medium, so that my water is warm or hot between, I guess. When I pull my jar out, then I will stuff it, fill it up, do all my good stuff, place it back in this water, and then we'll start the canning. This also has a little spigot on the side. When you're done with your water, you can just do that. It'll all run out. There's lines inside of here that tells you, you know, what your level should be depending on what you're doing with it, okay? So this thing sits on a base. When you wash it, you have to be careful because it does have electrical prongs on the bottom, and you don't want to get those wet, right? So that's these, okay? And of course, here's your base, and that's where those little prongs go into. Right. Now, when you do have this full of water, it can be quite heavy. I've been able to lift it, but there are some times where I've asked my husband, depending on where I've placed it in my kitchen, I've asked him to bring it over to the sink for me so that I could just turn this little spigot on the side, set it here, and just let it roll into my sink. So I have, now this one, when I purchased it, I believe I got this one when things were popping off in 2020. And I found this at Ace Hardware. I did again ask Mr. Google Pants that I was looking for this, and I wanted to see where the best price was. And I was able to pick this thing up for, it was quite expensive. It was $150. I've actually seen some, if you just look around, you might be able to pick one up for that same price. I've seen them for $188. And even back in 2020, when I purchased this one, if you just look down the line of who carried them, some of them were $200 or $300 for the same thing. So I got, pardon me, I feel like I got a really good price for it. I love it. Again, it has dual purposes. You can steam your veggies. You can do all different things with it. And probably with this one as well, just depends on what you place at the bottom and how your food will be up and not touching the bottom of the bowl pan. Okay, so it has a little rack. Always put something at the bottom of your jar or of your container. Again, I'll load all my jars on here. We'll stick this on here when we get ready to roll. Everything's good to go. And then of course you have your lid, and it has the tool devices. So this one is the Ball FreshTech. So Ball FreshTech electric canner. Okay, electric water bath canner. Going to show a couple other things that you'll need to have, some tools that you need to have when you are looking at doing this. Of course, you'll need your jars. And again, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look again depending on how big or small your jars are and how you can pack them in here for each one. A few things that you'll need, and you can get this. They have these little canning kits. I've seen them. I think they're maybe $7, could be $12 now, something like that. Of these little devices here, and they're so simple. So this first one has a magnet on the bottom, and in some of the newer ball books, or I think the recommendation is that you don't have to boil your lids anymore. I do that just for myself, even though mine are clean and washed up and all that good stuff. I just like to have them in a small simmering pot of water, and then I can go ahead and pick them up with this little device, right? It's got a magnet. You just stick it in there and it'll pull your lid out for you, and you can put it on top of your jar. Now, this other little amazing tool is what they call a debubbler. So if you hear anybody talking about, oh, I need to get the bubbles out, you could use a chopstick if you wanted to. You could use a butter knife. You can use anything. But this thing comes in the kit, and again, you can turn it over, put it in your jar, right? And you're gonna push down and get it. The key is, or the purpose is, to get all the air bubbles out of your jar that you can. Okay. The other part here is, if you've ever heard somebody say, oh, you know, give it an inch headspace, half inch, quarter inch, all those things. What they're talking about is the water level within your jar. And this little thing has measurements on it. It has an inch, 3/4, half, and a quarter. So if you only need a quarter space, then you're going to put that there, and you would be able to see. It would help you with your measurement of your liquid that you're putting in. Okay, so this is what would come in the little kit, dual purpose. Then you also have something like this, and when I was new, I was like, well, which side's up, right? Which side? Because these look like the handles, and I thought that can't be right. So this part is your handles, and then this other part is the round, is what is going to help you get your jar in and out. Okay, so it goes just like that. And these will be in there, and there'll also be in those kits, there'll also be a different colored type of funnel. I have this one. I purchased this one off of Amazon, and I love it because I can sit it, I mean, I have two ways. So I can use the little debubbler, or I can use this little funnel, right? I'm gonna need it anyway to pack my jars. And it already has measurements on the side, which will tell you where your water level needs to be. Okay, so this one, a progressive is what it's called. and it's just a funnel, and you can find those on Amazon. That's where I found this one, and I use it for all kinds of things. You know, just as a regular funnel, and then again when I'm canning, because it's just so handy. There it is. And the one that comes in the kit with all these other tools, that one works too, right? Because you still have the slow gel. All right, let me see. Oh, and this right here is just a ladle. You can use any spoon. Honestly, you can, well, I wouldn't use like a regular soup spoon, but any kind of bigger spoon, plastic spoon, whatever you got going on. Which just holds that much more level of water, or excuse me, whatever it is that you, this is progressive too. I don't know if you see. So it must be, I probably got it at the same time that I had gotten this, but it's been a while because I've been investing in different tools that are helping me with my candy, and anything that's gonna help me and make it go smoother, I am all for. Okay, so on those tools, I have one more thing that I use, and this is just a little pumping device. If you are somebody who's ever gotten your nails done, this might look familiar to you. It has a little flap and it has a little well inside, and you pump it, right? So when your gal's doing your nails, I think they have alcohol in them, and they get the little cotton ball and they pump, 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 and then the liquid comes up and they do whatever they gotta do, clean up. So I use this one, and I put my regular vinegar in it. So when I am cleaning the rims, I just use my paper towel and pump it up there, and then I can clean the rim. There's some people you'll see that put their vinegar in a little bowl and they dip it and all that kind of stuff. This right here for me keeps it cleaner, and I can keep it in my cabinet. It has a lid on it, so anytime I need it, I'm not fumbling around trying to pour a bunch of vinegar into a bowl. I can just keep it in here, and then actually you can see I need to refill this one. So I'll get that going. But I found this one on Amazon too, and I believe there were it was, I don't know if it was a pack of 10 or so, and it wasn't very expensive. I don't even know what these would be called. There's no number on it. I'll try to find it. I don't remember what these are called. But anyway, maybe if you're looking in the nail, you know, acrylic nail type category, you might be able to find these. It's got just a little pumper, and you can pump it up, and your solution will go in there. Take your paper towel and then clean your rim. All right, so a couple other books, if you haven't had any. I came across one I was really excited to share with you, and versus the other two. Now, for me, when I'm learning something, I learn all different ways, and everybody does. So a lot of people can just read something and have the whole picture. For me, if I'm doing chapter reading, I kind of have to read it twice and then possibly underlining what is actually in that chapter. Like, you know, if you read it, and then I'll say, what did I just read? So I need to kind of hear it, see it, and I can read it in order to get the gist. So with that, in my journey that I have been doing, I finally found a book that I thought would be super helpful to the new person, a new beginner, or even just me. I'm not, I can do it. I've worked, you know, I've done it with canning and everything, even with the pressure canner, but I'm still new to it, right? So I'm still new to it, and I did find this book. So I'm gonna show you. First, you can always purchase your ball home canning book, okay? And I've had this one for a while. And in here, it does show you it does have photo or pictures, like drawings. Excuse me. And so, but they look like this. And it shows you when you put your jars in, the level, right? And it has these type of drawings. So here you are with that debubbler, that blue little plastic thing I showed you. And here, this person is wiping the top of the jar. Here's that headspace we talked about. When somebody's talking about that, what does that mean? 1 inch headspace, what does that mean? Okay, here's our little canning, picking up your jar, putting it in, little tool that I just showed you. Okay, that person's right down labeling their stuff, right? Okay, so it has these kinds of things, and most of the books do. Also talks about your altitude, right? That's something that you'll need to know depending on where you're located, how long you need to process something. So this again is the home preserving ball. I believe this is the newer edition. I probably got this either at Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. And I don't think I paid $24 for it. I don't know. Sometimes you can find some really good deals on the books on Amazon, depending on what you're looking for. So if I've kind of had something, I'm just that kind of shopper. If I'm looking for something, I kind of watch the market to see where things are, if it's going up or down, or if it's kind of, stayed at the same price, and then it's dropped a little bit, I'll try to pick it up at that time. But I do watch the market on some of these things, especially something like this. That's kind of a more pricier type item for whatever it is I'm doing. I used to do that for when I shopped for toys for my daughter. When they had Toys R Us, I would be at Toys R Us and have the Walmart and the Target app opened on my phone and search then if there was something particular she was wanting, and I would find the best price. And I think that's the wonderful part of capitalism, is that we can shop for certain things, and it's a competitive market. All right, so this is again the ball. Okay. The other one that I really like, and I use more so than the ball, is this the Amish Canning Cookbook. I really like this one a lot. It's just very simple to read what you're looking for. This one also, and it has a lot of recipes in it, so does the ball canning. And let me see here what this one looks like as far as somebody who was new, where it talks about getting started and how can they help us. So this talks about equipment that you'll need. This one talks about your funnel, right? Removing your air bubbles, your funnel, your jar lifter. That's what that thing's called, jar lifter. So this one is the Amish Canning Cookbook. Okay. And again, I probably ordered both of these books at the same time, to tell you the truth. But this one I like. This one we're gonna use when we're pickling our peppers. And this is the one that I had used prior. So that's butters and jams. Let me find it really quick so I can show you. Here we go. So this is the hot pepper recipe that we're gonna use. Okay. And I'll walk you step by step through that. Now, the one that I found it at Tractor Supply. but you can probably just, again, ask Mr. Google Pants and find out where you can find it. So this one is the Department of Agriculture, the Complete Book of Home Canning, okay? And it's Skyhorse Publishing, and there's the web address. Again, I don't know if I would go directly to that website to purchase this. You could and just see how much it costs with the prices, and then just search it. But I did find this one at my local Tractor Supply. So this one I like a lot, and I really thought of everybody who might be new. And I think that this one, the way that it's designed and the imagery in it, pictures in it, are more helpful than the other two that I just showed you. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this shows you, talks about altitude, okay, and that why do you have to have different temperatures? So what's the difference between the water bath canning versus the pressure canning? And again, it depends on what type of food that you're preserving, of which way that you want to, which method you want to use. Okay, so this again talks about your foods and their acidity. Okay, here's for your altitude. We need more altitude. And then this one I really enjoy. This kind of caught my eye when I was looking at it. And I think it's because it actually has color, carrots, and it's more realistic versus the other one that was just dark. This again talks about your lid, talks about your headspace. And I felt it was more user-friendly. Sterilizing your jar. Here's the other one, all-encompassing. If you want to put salt in your jar, here's that debubbler. You can use a spatula. Here's wiping the top of your jar, the rim, right? Then your lid goes on, and then your ring, okay? This one here is a really good image. And I think just as a reference, this right here, again, is for your pressure, right? Have your little weight, and then a gauge. You can have either or both sometimes, or you might have this little thing. I've seen somebody that had something like this. I don't personally have one that looks like that. I have, for mine, I have this little weight, and it's a Presto. I haven't graduated to an all-American canner yet. They're $300. Maybe someday. This again talks you through if you want to do your pressure canning, gives you an idea, right? So you'll see a lot of people say, well, they need to have a steady stream and it has to run for 10 minutes. This right here tells you exhaust all air from the cooker, right, with the vent open. Right, image right there. There's the jar lifter. Again, when you're working with a pressure canner, this is really key. When you're unlocking it, once everything has cooled down, you open it with the lid away from you, okay? Away from your face, because it will have some steam in it, and we do know that steam is hot and it can burn. Let me see here, what else they got? And they've got just a lot of different things, a different, see how this imagery, right? So it's kind of a combination of both of those books. And just to me, for better understanding, I just thought that those images, for me, when I saw it, I said, oh man, I really would have loved to have something like this when I first started. I had to watch a lot of YouTube channels and kind of figure out, depending on who was doing what were they talking about, what did they mean about debubbling. wiping the rim, and finger tight, you know, fingertip tight. What does that mean? So I just want to share again the references that I have, I think would be helpful. Again, this one is the U.S. Department of Agriculture Complete Book of Home Canning. And if you can't find it, right, I got this one at Tractor Supply, but you can always go to that website and just see what the rest would be too. All right, so we are going to get started and chopping up our peppers. And before anybody gets too overly excited about saving the seeds, I've saved a lot of the seeds from our prior canning, and this one I'm just going to chop up, get ready to roll, put them in our jars, and we're going to process them. Now I wanted to show you the difference. The first ones that I did, I had a lot of the different colors, so the difference of the hot peppers and items like that are a lot of them. So if you can see this one, how pretty it is, right? And I also use, not everybody does this, but I also like to use a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric in my jars. That's what gives you that beautiful, right, yellow kind of color, yellow orangey color. Now this one, I had most of those gypsy peppers and not a lot of the jalapenos. There are a couple in here. And even though I'm sure they're gonna taste good, and there's just an orange color, but I just think this one looks so pretty. So we'll see what we get. And I'm gonna mix them all up and pickle them in that way. What we're gonna be using is going to be the Miss Wag's pickling vinegar. Okay, so we're going to use this. If you do not have any pickling salt, so before when I was doing the other batch, I ran out and then we couldn't find it at our local store, and I couldn't wait because I already had everything chopped up. So I needed to get things going that day. So what you can use is just your regular kosher salt, okay? You want to use this, right? And it just, you can use this, you can use this instead of a pickling type salt that you might get at your local store if they're out, right? This is just another way item to use with that. So what does this have in it? It has salt, right? That's what we need. So my husband found this one at our local grocery store, and this works just fine. It's just your regular kosher salt. Now, why don't you want the other salt or the table salt? Because it has an anti-caking agent in it, and what it could do is make your liquid cloudy, right? Make it cloudy, where it's not going to be clear like this one, right? You don't want that. You want cakey stuff. So let me show you. So this is also your iodized salt. Ah, spilling it everywhere. Anti-caking agent. Okay, you don't want that. Don't want that. All right, so we want, again, this is just in my area, David's kosher salt, and that's what we're going to be using. Again, I also have these. You can do 2. I have the Ball mixed pickle spices. So sometimes I use these. And then I also just picked up the peppercorn medley. This is that Great Value brand, so that must have been Walmart. Aren't those pretty? So we're going to use these in our solution as well. And we are going to use 5 cups of the Mrs. Wag's vinegar, 1 cup of water, 4 teaspoons of pickling salt or canning salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 cloves of garlic. So the 2 cloves of garlic I'm going to put in our saucepan when we're bringing that up to boil. Mix that up, put the turmeric inside of there to give it a really pretty color. Now what I also do is put 1 clove of garlic, in the bottom of each canning jar. I think I have one in here. Can't see. One other thing I want to caution you when you are canning, when you pull this out of your hot canner after they have been processed, the peppers are going to be a little higher and you're going to have a lot of liquid down here. Okay, don't let that alarm you. The one thing I want to caution you on is don't take that out and put like a rag or something over it and then start doing this number, right? Because you're like, oh, it's driving me nuts. It doesn't look like this. It will after it cools down. It will fill up the jar, but in the meantime, when you pull it out and it's hot, all of your peppers are going to be the majority of your jar, and then your liquid will be down here as well. And I'm saying that because you only have this thin lid, and if you're doing this with hot water, there's a potential for it to come off and burn you. So try to be patient. Let it cool down first. And even if they're still up a little bit, once everything's cool the next day, let's say, then you could always shake your jar and make sure that it looks full. Okay, I hope that information wasn't too overwhelming for you, and just wanted to share with you some resources and then some items to have on hand, or if you're thinking about it, go ahead and look for that stuff, get it purchased. And then again, once you have this little kit that has all of these things in it, it's not very expensive, then you're ready, and you don't have to really need it. You don't really need anything else. I've used these things for a long time now. Okay, so money well spent on these little deals. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way, and we'll go ahead and chop up our peppers, and we'll start our process. Stay tuned. All right, so let's get our peppers cut up. I'm gonna use some gloves because some of them are very hot, and I've learned that as a child when my grandmother was making some chilies, and I was trying to help her, and it ended up touching my face or my eyes, and you get that burning sensation. I'm not quite sure what was going on with my hair a minute ago, but I have it up now. It's very windy here today. Our first really windy day. Makes us feel like it's fall, but I think it's still only in the 70s, and who knows, tomorrow's probably gonna be in the 90s again. No rain. Please, wind, bring us some rain. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start chopping these up, and we'll get going. Now I know on some canners, when they're doing like wax peppers or something, they make them really pretty and they cut them when they're round. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm just gonna chop them up. And then again, my husband doesn't mind. He's gonna use these either on his sandwiches or his salads. It's all gonna taste the same. All right, I have a lot to chop up, and we'll get them all chopped up, and then I'll bring you back.